Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause. I wanted to do a quick video about government programs. I got into a discussion in Louis Laveau's chat with him about government programs. He was attacking them, I was defending them. First of all, I think it's interesting that he called me a troll right from the get-go. Like, why? Because I'm disagreeing with you on a topic. Like, Uh, I get that it can be difficult to understand someone's tone, but like I it was pretty clear in my opinion that I wasn't trolling. I was giving reasonable points about why government programs are necessary or beneficial, and uh, it was disappointing, I guess, that he just went straight to the troll attack. Although I don't actually think he was trying to like silence me or anything like that because he did engage me and I think he realized that I wasn't a troll. Um, but I still thought that was interesting. So, about government programs, we start off disagreeing about healthcare, but he wanted to talk mostly, it seemed, about unemployment because he works in that field, like looking for fraud apparently. And I don't I wasn't discussing that as much because I was more interested in discussing like healthcare at the time, but I'll discuss the unemployment insurance issue a little more here. Basically, unemployment insurance is necessary because it helps people get from one job to the next when they get fired for no reason. Um, you know, it's not necessarily their faults. Sometimes it can be, I guess, but a lot of times the employer's just looking to shed some labor. They can be restructuring, whatever. And um, we have enough wealth in this country to help people get from one job to the next, and that can be massively beneficial too. Uh, when people go from a, having a nice sized income to no income at all, that causes a lot of problems and strain on society, especially when you have millions of people that are constantly rotating in this state. So, um, he was also really full of bullshit on like what he was pushing because he was saying that, you know, unemployment and other government programs are just massively full of fraud and things like that. Yeah, there's fraud, and if you delete, if you destroy the program completely, you're not going to have any fraud and you're not going to have a need for watchdogs. Sure, but that's not really a reasonable argument. Um, because you have to get down to the core principle of is the program beneficial or not, and how beneficial is it? And on top of that, if you look at like how much unemployment insurance is actually used, uh, I read an article that back in the 1950s when it was first created, well, closer to when it was first created, it was there were 20 uh, or there excuse me, there were 49% of the population was on it, of the workforce, and now 27%. So it was around 50% of the workforce. Now it's around 25%, around a quarter of the workforce. So it's nearly been cut in half, percentage wise. And so you can talk about all the fraud you want. The fact is that the government program of unemployment insurance is going massively down. And I would say that people don't realize when it comes to programs that are insurance, it's not a program for a single individual. Everybody gets that program. So um, let's say you're working at a company and you haven't been fired. You are, say you work at like, I don't know, Walmart, you're benefiting from unemployment insurance because if you ever get fired, you will qualify for unemployment. It's like saying that, you know, say car insurance, people who have car insurance are benefiting. They don't just benefit when they collect on the money. So, because they know that if they ever get in a car accident, they're covered. They don't have to, save for a new car or repairs to a car just in case they get into a car accident. And that's the same thing with disability insurance, for instance. Um, if anybody were to become disabled at any time, they would qualify for disability insurance. So these programs benefit everybody, pretty much. And I think you have to, once you look at it through that lens, these these programs become much more beneficial to society. Um, Another thing is that part-time workers don't count. So, uh, and other non-traditional uh, jobs don't count. So unemployment isn't as big as it's made out to be. Because if someone's working as like a freelancer or something and they lose their job, they don't get to apply for unemployment. And this is a huge issue among like construction workers. It's not just like your artsy types of jobs like a lot of people think. It's construction workers and, anybody who's self-employed, anybody who owns a business. So, um, yeah, if anything, unemployment should be expanded, not destroyed. Uh, Another final point I wanted to make about unemployment insurance is that workers rotate in and out of the program. So the same, say there's like 5 million people on the program. I have no idea how many people are actually on it, but let's just say 5 million people are on it. That doesn't mean that's the same 5 million people all the time. Louis kept attacking these people, which I didn't think was very good. I'd go as far to say it was an immoral argument where he's saying that all these people are just, well, maybe he didn't say all, but he's saying these people are lazy and all of that, and it's like that's using a minority to paint the majority, and most people don't want to be on unemployment. It runs out after a period of time, so uh, it's not quite like other programs that don't run out. So, and I mean, who really wants to be bottom of the barrel collecting, this this insurance money rather than just getting a new job in what they were doing? Most people don't want to do that. So uh, I think how he was painting people who do collect, and well, by the way, when I said bottom of the barrel, I meant financially, not in any moral judgment. But so so the fact that he was painting these people so badly, it probably has to do with his job that he's looking for the fraud. He probably works with people that are committing fraud much more than he works with people who are not. So he might have a pessimistic outlook, but I don't find his arguments for getting rid of government programs and getting rid of unemployment specifically to be, um, they're not even interesting. They're quite shallow. Um, so then let's get to healthcare insurance. Um, healthcare or healthcare insurance is very important for people in my opinion. Like if one person gets sick, and they don't have money to go to the hospital, then they get other people sick, obviously. So we should give, some sort of basic program to give everybody insurance. Like, I think that's a pretty reasonable stance. Now, of course, the problem here comes to implementation, but I think we can agree that the policy should be to get the most people covered as possible. And for all programs, I'm totally for reforming them to create as little waste as possible, create maximum efficiency, all of that. But um, I don't think the answer is just remove all government programs. And there are definitely a lot of people who can't afford to go to the doctor that should be able to go to the doctor right now. Even with Obamacare. Obamacare made things a little better in that aspect, but it came at the cost of other people who now have to pay like loads of money to go to the doctor. So, um, and those people are like middle class. So, they're not even, it's not like the rich are paying tons of money for the poor. It's like the middle classes. So, um, I guess I just disagree with his argument massively here we that people don't deserve health care. I mean, I also think you have to look at a broader aspect here for government programs in general too. Is for the rich, they deserve to be taxed more because they're benefiting the most from society. And if we take that away, then or if we allow them to benefit and take all the programs away from the poor, you're going to create an incentive for the poor to rebel. Why would the poor keep a system that they don't benefit from? By having these programs, they benefit as well as the poor. It's not necessarily a zero sum game. And people start. I'm an individualist too, but I'm not going to ignore that people start at different levels. People inherit different amounts of money. Like, we're not individualist extremists, are we? We're not going to ban uh, inheritance so that people start on an equal level, right? And even if, we completely ban inheritance, there's still networks that are going to be given to people more easily than others. So, I mean, if you're the son of a rich guy compared to the son of a poor guy, the rich father is probably going to have a much better network than the poor father. So that'll that networking will create massive advantages for the rich child. And I think you have to consider that when you're just calling these people who are on these programs lazy or whatever. And I think your arguments really fall apart when you look at the details. Like, a small fraction of people just sit on unemployment until their 2 years or whatever is up, and then what? Look for a job, which they could have been doing the whole time anyways. And at that point, they won't be getting any checks. So, I mean, there are, if you're talking unemployment, one thing that can be done is when someone's looking for a job, first of all, I don't think part-time jobs usually don't count. And they're going to be looking for a job that's like close to what they had, at least early on, because they are collecting all that money anyways. So it doesn't make sense for them to work for less money than they're collecting on. And other programs have this problem as well, like disability. You can go and work, but why would you work for, and risk that disability payment when you could just be at home? But with with unemployment, as that time starts running out, people usually start opening up their and broadening their what they're willing to accept because they know that their their checks are running out. So they, I mean, maybe we can find some better efficiency there, but I don't find the waste to be a particular problem. I mean, I'm sure there's money to be saved, but I think you're way overstating the issue. So, anyways, I'm probably rambling, so I think I'll just end it here. Um, oh, one other thing he said that was ridiculous was about the government should only be in, basically market industries where anything that the free market would create, the government should get into. And if the free market wouldn't create it, then the government shouldn't get into it. Like, that's the exact opposite of what the government's for. The government's for funding, research that the free market never would have funded otherwise because it's way too risky. Things like going to the moon. I mean, that's exactly what the government's for. I mean, if the free market's creating, industries and that, why would you want to create competition for the free market through the government, who's going to be more inefficient than that market anyways? But they're going to have way more money, so they can like operate at losses potentially, and drive market industries out, drive companies out, but yet they're doing what they're doing extremely inefficiently. Like, I just don't understand his argument at all. I think, you want the government to create the military. The free market would not be doing that because we wouldn't be allowing them to go around killing people in the name of the USA. Same thing with the police is like you can't have the free market, applying laws and like arresting people. Um, Prison system, even though it has been privatized to some extent, that's more corruption than anything, and we definitely shouldn't have a privatized prison system. So the government should be doing that. Um, like I said, stuff like NASA and space program. Um, Eventually, the private market will get into that, like SpaceX has, but that industry would basically never have opened up without NASA paving the way. So, I mean, there are all these kinds of industries. Firefighting, let's just say that the free market could do that, but it's way better with uh, the government doing it. And also, paving roads. Like, you can have toll roads all over the place. I've been through them in Illinois. They're horrible. It's just way better to have the government uh, create all the roads, pay a tax, and be done with it. So, anyways, I guess that's all I have for now. I mean, I could definitely go deeper into this with statistics and all that, listing sources, but I found when I've done that in the past, people don't read them anyways. So I wanted to focus more on principles, and if you have any counter responses, have at it, but I don't think you're standing on very solid ground here. So government programs are the way to go to help people um, at the bottom, and also create a glue for society so that they want to keep the system that the rich are benefiting from most. So, if you have any, so let me know if you have any counter arguments.